Yeah, that's right. We're back and we're talking smut, so you got to have viewer discretion, right? No, no. In fact, this is the non-smut fairy smut series that we're talking about. Welcome back to John's Comics with Friends and the ongoing John gets back into reading fantasy books series, The Court of Beards and Bourbon. We've been through Fourth Wing. We begin to tackle the world of Donut and Carl. We've gone and done all of the published ACOTAR or Court of Thorn and Roses books. And now we're discussing a lot of Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas, both. And that is me and the latecomer bearded comic bro.
What's up, buddy? Well, you threw me off. You always
did.
send the link via email.
Oh, my bad.
And no, it's not your issue. It's my problem. It's just how I have it. Like I'm hardwired on my laptop, so like I have to then send that link then to me via my phone. It's complicated, and so I'm here.
I assumed that it had more to do with your enthusiasm for this book.
I mean, if I was able to, guys, I know we made it even earlier for me, but if we don't do it, it's okay.
I got a sore throat. I can't
go through with this. No, if I can talk X-Men, I can talk this book. So,
so yes, the link for Greg's channel down below. Good to see you, brother. How are things? How's the world treating you in 2026?
I'm here, and I'm escaping talking about fantasy books about an assassin that doesn't like to kill people.
Right, as we wish for commonly. Yeah, but this has been a fun roaming and return for me to fantasy reading because I had taken a big break from these kinds of books, and now I feel like I've gone back, 2 feet full hog all the way in.
Well, but I've taken a break now because of just we've been so far into
our schedule
and then our schedule.
I'm counting Dungeon Crawler. We've all powered through Dungeon Crawler.
But year. I consider that more like
it is sci-fi
more than fantasy. So
we're throwing it all into one big barrel here on this channel, though.
Yeah, and that's what it is. We get to read books. I mean, there's no better way, right?
And we have roped a couple of people in, or some of them chose to climb into this journey with us. I'm talking about the one with all the knowledge, the guy who had read all of this well before us. We got the big O himself, Paul. What's going on, man?
How we doing? Yeah, super excited to come back to this.
I feel like you've been the resource in the Maasverse for us all the way along.
I'm just waiting. I'm just being patient to get to the third series for you guys.
Crescent City. That's what you're holding out for.
That's what I'm holding out for, because that's where it really, you guys wanted all the fairy smut, and that's where it shows up. So,
well, listen, if John starts to read, maybe we will, but
yeah, John's got to pick up a pace here.
I'm just saying, when we last do Assassins, when did we read this? I probably read it back in May.
I read this one way before you guys. So I read this one. This is my third book. So I read this one a while back. Then I went and read Heir of Fire after. So my out of orderness is a ways off. But yeah, but what Paul sounds like there is, hey gang, wait till you get to season 13. This is really gonna pick up. You got to get through those other 12 seasons, and then this thing is gonna really.
I really like the Throne of Glass series, but it's definitely, it has its own highs and lows, and it's tough. Some of the lows are lower than most.
And I believe our other partner on this crew would say the lowest of the lows being Kale.
Code.
Justice for Kale. Justice for Kale.
No, you have no idea. He deserves no justice.
What is going on, JP? How's it going, man?
I'm just trying to remember this book I read a year and a half ago and 30 books ago.
Raise your hand if you're a little late because you watched a recap of what the book was about.
I mean,
because I read it back in May, and I've read
it was May. It was May.
Between that.
I don't know what's wrong with you. I just use the Throne of Glass wiki. I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
No, I watch what's his name, the long-haired dude who just calls them by the wrong names, and I watch his recaps. I'm like, perfect. I'm in.
Got it.
I'm set.
Well, Brucifer, thank you for coming and hanging in the chat for a little bit. I know he's got D&D starting up on Paul and the 619s here in about an hour. So hopefully we'll keep you on time for that, buddy. But yeah, tonight we're talking about the prequel novel, the book that goes chronologically first in the Throne of Glass series. It's called Assassin's Blade. We've read and reviewed the first 3 novels in this series, and this would be technically the 4th one, but prequel to the others. It's a collection of 5 short stories that take place before the original novel, and in that way kind of flesh out the backstory for the lead character. And so I'm just curious. I kind of want to just start off with my thinking on this, because I definitely, of the 4 we've read so far, this is easily the one in last place for me. It's not even close in my mind how this one is dead last. But I have only read those 4, and I think Bearded's only read those 4. Mm-hmm. These 2 guys down here were like, John, I'm tired of waiting for you. I'm going to read all of them. So
Paul's lapped us 4 times since this. Like,
yeah.
We're on Mario Kart. We're on our first lap. So Paul's like, lap 3, third and final lap.
I turned my car around. I didn't realize I was going backwards the whole time, and then Paul zipped right by me again.
Listen, I main Bowser on Mario Kart, so I definitely have that slow, steady pace. But I'm just gonna keep on going, baby. I've only done it maybe twice. I've only read through it twice, I think. So
all right. So Greg, does this one rank last of the 4 for you?
Without a doubt. A doubt.
So then I guess it's the question. Let's go to JP next. Like, where would you rank it? Because you've read everything. Does it fall last for you? Where does it land for you?
Of the 4 that we've read and discussed, it is tied for last for me.
Okay. Ooh, and then of the whole series, of the whole series, where does it land for you?
Oh, what did I rank? Hang on, let me see what I ranked.
Yeah.
No, it still would be tied for last.
With what? I'm just curious. Which one?
The first one.
Oh, okay.
And Paul, how about you?
I have it tied at the bottom with the second book. Actually, I like the first book as like an intro into the world, meeting some new characters, and then the second book for me just kind of was a little bit more difficult to get through. So this one is important. Don't get me wrong.
Like, I will say those 3, the first 2 books and this book, are the 3 lowest rating books for me.
Yep.
Okay.
And I still think, like we were talking about this a second ago, just before we jumped on, like the idea of like these were the books that she wrote when she was like 16, 17, 18 or something like that. Like super, super young. And I feel like it shows. And this book really feels like she's trying to fill in some gaps.
I mean, the reason I wanted to bring it up is not just to crap on the book, but to imply that for most people looking at this series, they should be aware that, at least on this panel, it's a book that's going to rank near the bottom, whether that is a shot against it or whether it's just like among these other books that are far superior, it's going to fall below that line. I just kind of feel like it's an important point to make, because I think that's part of the reason why a lot of us were like, I'm kind of busy this weekend. Let's talk about another dungeon crawler book. Can we? Because I don't necessarily want to jump on here and just talk about a book that I didn't like and not effusive about. I think I get that feeling. Sheena is in the chat. She's the one that put me on the path of Maas here, so I appreciate you, Sheena. We went a little earlier than we had planned, so I hope that didn't throw you off. So I guess. Do we want to have let's have just opening thoughts about it? I guess anything that you want to say to kind of kick us off. Any thoughts that you have in general? Greg's ready.
No, I would just like to say, John, we have not introduced the second part of the show yet. And the name of our show,
the Beard and Bourbon part.
It's called A Court of Beards and Bourbons.
It's early here. It's only 5 o'clock. I had not poured myself anything.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying, we always talk about what we drink.
Whether it's bourbon, whether it's water. I thought it while JP was talking, and I'm like, I got water here is what I'm drinking right now. I'm really playing it poorly. Oh, he's got his
I
bat
did forget to
boys
go get my
ready.
cup. I did forget that. Yeah.
I always have
What
my
are you
cup
drinking, Greg? What are you drinking?
Well, I am drinking water, but then I'm also got a little bourbon here.
Okay, nice.
That I'm actually gonna smoke here.
Ooh,
very fun.
I got a smoker for my.
All right. Then give
Christmas.
me a second here. Okay.
And it's pretty sweet. You can put different wood chips in.
Yeah.
So oak wood, cherry wood, pear.
I like applewood for me.
There's an applewood one.
Gives it a little sweetness sometimes even.
I'm doing an oak this time because I've done the cherry a lot, and it's just fun. You do it here. Let's lower this so people can see the contraption.
So you're basically, you're vaping your bourbon, right?
Yeah,
Drinking his bourbon.
Essentially.
Well, it's a cheap bourbon, so I'm okay doing it to this one.
All right.
It's Jim Beam.
All right.
He's trying to give it actual flavor.
A little extra flavor, yeah.
So, but it lights it up cool, and
I mean, it's pretty.
and then look, boom,
Oh, look
smoky.
at the smoke.
Oh,
There you go.
nice.
It is,
Yep,
yeah.
there it is.
Fancy.
So.
Fancy.
Oh, I see that green top. I know what that green top means.
Yeah, this is Lagavulin.
Okay.
I opened this on this guy's 1K celebration last night.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have another little sip of the Lagavulin, which is smoky enough. After having it last night, it's easily the smokiest
Oh yeah, it's like
Yeah.
old
drink I've
Scotch.
ever had.
It's super peaty and
Yeah,
smoky.
no,
For sure.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
some bourbons. Most bourbons I would not use my my vaping smoker on it, but for Jim Beam, it's fun. It spices it up and it keeps things cheap when you want it to drink. So.
Paul, are you drinking anything? Got anything going on your?
Yeah,
side
I
of the
just
screen
got a
there?
little. I got a little mixer. My big old cup got a little mix in there. Just a little Diet Coke and bourbon. Nothing.
Nice,
Well, need a little caffeine to stay awake.
right? Yep. JP, yourself?
I do have a little bit.
A little mix of something. Anything good? Holiday?
No, it's a local. Oh, well, it's up by Kansas City.
Okay.
Okay.
Red
Yeah, I
wheat.
don't-
Okay.
I don't want to say which bourbon that I put into my Diet Coke because it would have. It's a really good bourbon. It was the last little bit that I had, so it's like I had like just a little bit left of Eagle Rare left. So I was like,
Nice.
oh, I just throw it in there, and I was just like,
It's a good
"Ugh,
one.
I need some caffeine. I'm tired. Like, let me. So
I just
threw
bought a
little
new
Diet
bottle
Coke.
of that.
Yeah,
It's in
I
the-
think
it's in the
we
closet.
all cringed a little bit.
Yeah, I
I,
was like,
I never see it, so it's just
I found it. Like I found 2 bottles right around the holidays, and I picked
Nice.
up both because I found them for MSRP. So it was like I got both bottles for $40 a piece, and I was just
Nice.
like, "Ooh, okay." And I looked at my
Don't
wife,
say
and
no to
she's like,
that.
she's like, it's like I know. She told me it's like I know that never happened. So go ahead and get them both. And I was like,
Do they we're going off complete rails. Do they regulate it down where you're at?
gosh, I can never find it. Just like JP said,
Yeah.
he can't find it. I can never find it. So when I found
Well, that's
2,
the thing is like
I'm like-
Ohio, it's so hard because you can't. Stores can't upsell it, and so
Yeah.
people will wait in line to get it, so then they can upsell it later.
Yep.
And so
Crazy.
it's really hard to find what Paul just said because I'm telling you, like I'll go to a grocery store Saturday morning to get my groceries for my family, and there's people like 2 hours in line waiting at the bourbon store.
Mhm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's not as bad down here like that, but I definitely know of
no.
some
They can
places that
upsell
do
it
that.
here, so yeah. Like if you do see it, it's usually like I want $100 for Bali Rare. It's like no.
No. Yeah.
I didn't realize this, because I've got my secret stash going over here. I got to keep that
do.
stocked, I guess.
There's my buddy that lives in Georgia, right around the corner from his place. There's a liquor store, and they're really good about keeping all of the random stuff, and they just put it in like little holiday baskets. So you buy a
Ah.
holiday basket that's $200, and it's got a bottle of Eagle Rare, it's got a bottle of Weller in there, but then it's got the random stuff that doesn't sell, and it all
Ah.
ends up adding up together to be worthwhile.
Okay.
So
Sorry, I digressed.
No. I
Oh.
appreciate the reminder, and I don't need a good excuse to drink.
that's right.
So
Just
I guess my thoughts are basically this: the 5 stories feel a little clunky. They feel like they don't flow very nicely. The plot in each one of them seems fairly obvious, like you kind of know where it's going to go. There's not a ton of surprises for me happening in this series. there's value in backstory in the same way that a mediocre episode of Lost might have a flashback that you're like, okay, kind of let's get back to the story here a little bit. So I guess that's a negative Lost reference that you can throw into your hashtag for tonight. Greg, any thoughts here, at least as far as general feelings on this book?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is I found myself bored with this book. Like I wasn't invested in the characters, even though I read it, you know, after Air of Fire. Like, so I read the first 3 and I read this one. And I was bored throughout the story. And maybe it was because I knew like what was going to happen to some degree, right? Like, you know, like you knew where some characters were going to be at. And so I get it. There's like 2 different camps on this, and I'm sure we'll get down there eventually. But for me, it was like the big aha moments. They weren't written really well, because as I've understood it, this was like she wrote this first, like or early on, and then released it later with those others and stuff like that. But that it was even earlier than some of her early writings there. So it was like it felt like it. So like you already kind of had a sense of what was going to happen. And then because of where I read it, it didn't do anything for me. So I guess, but like, I found myself bored with it. And I'm glad I read it when I did, though, because otherwise I feel like this would not have hooked me into wanting to read more of the series if I started this first.
Yeah, I think I've yet to find someone credible who says this is the book you read first. I've never found that person. I don't think there's one on this panel that would say, oh, it's the prequel, read it first. It's kind of like people that tell you to watch the Star Wars prequels. Like, nope, those people don't exist. Like that, they're idiots. Don't listen to these people. What about you, Paul? I mean, you're somebody that's read this whole series through a couple of times. What are your thoughts on this book overall?
I read it the first time I read the series.
Ooh.
And then I filled it in where it's supposed to fill in kind of according to how it was released.
Okay.
And it felt so much better there. Again, still ranking it where it's at, kind of at the low end.
Right.
But I also got the knowledge of all of the payoffs for this book. Okay. You know, so that's why it probably felt better the second time through where it was at. But it definitely, I agree. I don't know if I would recommend it. Like I've passed the set of books on to like my mother-in-law and to my brothers and to different people that are reading the series. And I was like, don't read this one first, even though it says it's first and it's a prequel. Don't read it first. Read it here. It'll feel better after a little bit of what you know about the characters. So
right.
The book I like the book. Don't get me wrong. I agree. Feels a little clunky at times, but knowing what I know how important some of the different parts of the story are.
I wanted to ask before you pass it off to JP. Is there any part of you that's like, is this book even necessary? Like, could you just skip it?
No, I don't think you can skip it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because again, it tears towards the bottom end. Yeah, but I don't think you can skip it. It puts Celaena's character, in perspective for a lot of things, and some of the hard stances she has during the regular series. It kind of confirms those things, and then some of the other characters throughout these 5 little prequel storylines are players in a bigger picture later.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and John, I want to kind of do a 1A off of that, and I'll ask Paul, and then JP, you can answer it, and then go into your response to John there, because you both have read the whole series of this, right? Mm-hmm. So my question is off of that of, do you remember how you felt about the book before you read the other books where it added value of like, you have to read this, like in your rankings, like, because I know you both said they're down there. Does that boost its rankings up a little bit? Because I'm wondering if I will appreciate it more and boost my rankings a little bit more without knowing what happens, obviously. But like, where does that can you remember what you thought about it without knowing what happens next?
The first time I read it, like I said, I read it first and then I started into the other books and I was like, wait a second, I read these 5 little prequel little novels, like these little stories, and none of those characters show up in the first 2, 3, 4 books. And I was just like, why'd I read this? Why? Where is this character? I'm waiting for this character. Where is this character? And so, yeah, I think you'll find a better appreciation, Greg, but I don't think you'll change your ranking.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think you'll appreciate the stories and the aspects of the stories and the information that you get there, but I still think it's where it should be.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, JP, we made you wait. Yeah. Why don't you
I
give
don't
us your
remember,
overall
I don't remember
thoughts
everything that John asked, but from
That
Greg's
doesn't matter.
point, like I did not go back and change the ranking,
Okay.
like the score that I gave the book. I do appreciate these stories more after having read further on, because like Paul says, and it's why I wouldn't I really like, I think the publication order has it third, like you'd read it before Air of Fire. I think reading it at where I read it after Air of Fire, but before the next book.
Okay.
For me, I think is the appropriate place for it to be.
So where it fits in the reading order as we are doing the live streams.
As we're doing the live streams.
Well, and I'm pretty sure that's a reading order that Sarah J Maas has on her website.
Okay.
Well, I looked a while ago and it just had like the publication order, in which case the publication order, this is third.
Okay.
Which is where I think I read it. So that's fine.
But the from my perspective, I think I would read it. Read the other three, then read this.
Okay.
Like in terms of, I don't remember exactly what you were asking me.
I was asking overall thoughts and just, do you feel in any way that people could just skip this one?
Knowing what I know, no.
Okay.
There's things that are introduced here that are extremely important later. So that her going in and filling in the backstory has a purpose. It's not just, hey, I want to fill in like Celaena before you meet her.
Okay.
Like there's a purpose to all of these backstories. Now you can debate how well this purpose is delivered here. I think
sure.
you can debate that, but like there's a purpose to everything that you get introduced to here serves a purpose later in the story.
Because in my mind, I was like, well, she'll just re-explain this stuff later. So why read it? Like you could skip it and then she'll catch you up when those characters pop up.
See, I guess you get an explanation, but like if you don't know
all the details or whatever,
if you don't know who these people are, if you don't understand the relationship, the background of the relationship between Arabin and Celaena,
yeah,
then you're not like, you don't get any of, like when they come face to face again, she doesn't rehash any of this. She just goes from here forward.
Right.
When they come face to face again. And so, not to give too much away, but like, that's gonna, like, if you've read this far, that's gonna happen because he's still alive,
sure.
She's still alive.
And I think that's the same way, JP. I think that's the same way for any of the characters that you get in this first 5 little novels. You really don't get that much extra, like, hey,
there's not much explanation of who
don't forget about this person.
Are.
Here they are.
Yeah, when they show back up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, so from that standpoint, I think all of these people, I think all of the stories are important to help you understand what happens later. So I think it is important. I think it is worth the time. But given that, and given what I know, it didn't really change my ranking. The book it reads the way it reads, and it just yeah. So
okay. Well, then let's dive into the first story, which is the assassin and the pirates. This is the storyline that really introduces the concept of Celaena and her feelings about slavery. The slavery element is a big portion of this. She and Sam are sent on a mission to sort of broker deals with the pirates. Things go haywire. They end up basically destroying portions of this town and their whatever ship rope chain thing, which I still couldn't quite picture in my mind. I don't know that I love the description of this design, but she ultimately helps free a bunch of slaves and screws over the pirates, and it's the impetus for the punishment she is basically serving for the rest of the 4 short stories. Anybody? Let's let JP go first this time. I feel like JP's gonna last every time. Thoughts on the pirate storyline? It seems like the main function that I took away from it was just where does this, or how intensely does she hold this belief about slavery?
I do, yeah. I think it's very much giving you, and depending on where you read in the story, a good picture into what. Yes, she's an assassin, but what are her values in terms of how she sees the world, and what is a step too far for her? It's one thing to, it's one thing to kill somebody who she believes deserves it, or whatever, but she doesn't have slaves. And you also get it sets up obviously this relationship she has that we don't see here necessarily with Arabin, but we also get the Sam relationship of how the two of them play off of each other. So yeah, I think the pirates themselves, the Pirate Bay, it's a little confusing, the setup with the chain that blocks the entrance to the bay, and to keep ships in or keep ships out. So there's a little bit of odd mechanism there, I guess, in terms of what they have to do. But in terms of, for me, it's really just about okay, these are what Celaena's values are. She's a bad guy. She's an assassin, but she's not
but she's not a killer.
Yeah. Well, according to Hale, you never killed anyone, right?
I mean,
JP's over here being Zangief from Wreck-It Ralph. I'm not a bad guy.
Yeah. I think of Go. He's the good drug dealer. So then, Paul, any thoughts for you? I mean, for me, one of the big things I didn't necessarily care about this story, this particular one, was the pirates are relatively flat characters. I don't feel like there's a lot of characterization happening for anybody but Sam and Celaena.
It could have been pirates. It could have been smugglers. It could have been just randos in the jungle. It could have been anybody. Like, the pirates were super, they didn't have to be pirates. I don't know if that, the pirate thing, thinking forward, how do those pirates come back? I mean, they do, I suppose.
I figured the bigger issue would be just the relationships between the thieves or the Assassins Guild and the pirates and the smuggling of slaves. I thought the political stuff would probably have a longer impact than perhaps any of these individuals.
I think it does, but I think the biggest thing from this first short story was those relationship things between Celaena and Sam.
Yeah.
Like you had mentioned, JP had mentioned the qualities, the characteristics of Celaena as I do have morals. Even though I'm an assassin, I've been paid to do certain things. I do have morals, and that starts that balance of, well, how can she be an assassin if she has morals? That kind of question. That, to me, it was just laying that foundation of super anti-slavery, super interesting in the fact that she does want to make sure that she's not just killing people for no reason, kind of deal. So that was the best part of this first one for me.
Okay. Greg, I know we've joked a lot about the killer assassin who we don't really see her kill a lot of people. She seems to come to this town and then finds out that they're slavers, and yet still doesn't just kill these pirates, just kill them all. Let's just go ham on these guys.
Yeah, well, it's kind of weird because I feel like she even lets the one go, when she could
the main guy.
Yeah, that's where it's that's where it's kind of, the writing just feels off to me at points of why is your line I'm gonna kill random people that were just doing what the pirate boss told me to do, but not the pirate boss.
Yeah, and
vice versa.
Kill the red shirts, but not the captain, right?
It just feels there was no depth to any of the characters, and I think that was probably a issue with the format that this was the 4 short stories through it. I think and maybe I didn't need all the missions, but I would have liked there was a little bit more, some of the other stories, more in-depth characters a little bit. And I think if we would have spent more time with those, maybe things would have punched even more in that aspect. Okay. I think my biggest frustration with the writing of this book is Sarah has literally like the most hardest to pronounce names in all of books in here. And then she's also like, oh, and Sam and Ben. Like,
yeah.
Why do you have Sam and Ben the easiest names, and then I'm over here struggling to find out what of the 4 names Celaena's going by this time? And it's like, and then
you don't
I'm
know
like,
that Ben is short for Benjethal.
Like, it just
there's a theory out there that from some of the other things that I've seen, that like if they have a basic name, they're bound to be dead. That's like the red shirt. It's like the red shirt.
Basic name is a red shirt.
Basic name is a red shirt. They're gonna die.
I'm gonna apply this going forward.
Any name I read now, I'm like, I'm sorry, Bill, you're out.
Yeah.
Jennifer's in trouble.
That's what it is.
My name is Bob. Oh shit, he's dead.
I like
not
Jeff.
gonna last 5 more pages, guys.
Why's he gotta be named Jeff? So it just it didn't. Yeah, and then you guys have all said it. Like the pirates are interchangeable, so it's kind of like,
Well, then let's. If everybody's ready, we can go on.
I just want to make one other point. I do think the other thing that is here, that's the reason for this story at the front, is not just her and the Sam relationship, which I think is important, but I also think it is the first time she kind of goes against Arabin, which I think is the first time that she.
As far as we know, because really we don't have anything prior.
Well, we don't. But as you go through the story, it's the first time she's really like looked at him as like, no, yeah. Like, you know, and so I do think that's an important part of this as well. But again, everyone's correct. And it's one of the reasons the book ranks where it ranks for me. It's like the pirates here are just, they could be literally anything. They're just people that she's dealing with.
Right. Okay. For me, the value of her like pushing back against Arabin isn't there for me, because I never see a time when she doesn't. So like you can tell me over and over again, oh yeah, for 18 years he has trained her and she's never said no. But like I only ever see her saying fuck you to this guy. So for me, it's like it's hard for me to be like, oh, I've really lived through all this hard. It's the opposite of the Shawshank problem. Like I see that guy in Shawshank suffer for so long. I need him walking on a beach at the end. The difference here is I never see her suffering in Shawshank. I just see her walking on the beach the whole time. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for me to be like, oh man, she's been suffering and doing everything he says for so long. It's like, I never saw that.
So you're almost saying this would have served itself more if the first couple stories actually were her following the instructions, and then to have like
and the guilt afterwards of like, why am I questioning like, oh my God, I've been duped. Instead, it's like, no, I'm always backhanding this.
So
guy
it makes sense from the get go. We've never seen her duped. It's just a believe me, she has been.
And I assumed maybe partially that's what the whole point of the prequels was, is to watch her come to a place of like, oh, I can't be with this guy anymore. I can't follow this. Like, you know, he's my daddy. He's saved me. He's so important. Oh, wait, crap. He's the villain. Instead, it's like, no, he's the villain right at the beginning. There's no moment of like her coming to a realization. I don't know. Maybe that's just.
I mean, I think she realizes just how that he's actually worse than what she thought. But yeah, she doesn't have any real delusions of what he is.
Right.
From the beginning here. I mean, but here you see her go. I would agree with you. Like this very first story is she goes, wait, he's doing this? Well, that's bullshit. You know, like it's right off the bat. And she like, so I get your point on that.
And it's also like, in some ways it's splitting hairs when it's like, wait, the head of the Assassin's Guild also has slaves? Whoa. Like this guy's got some questionable morals. I can't possibly hang out with this guy. Wow. I'm shocked. You know, so there's a little bit of that Casablanca. There's gambling going on here. How? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Sorry, Arabin's taking some shots from me. The second story is basically when they get back and they're all getting punished. Like Sam's getting like beat into an inch of his life, and they're basically going to send Celaena off on this like horrible journey where she's going to get like trained in the desert, but en route to the desert. We see her at this, I guess it's like a bay where she's catching a ship to the next spot, and she meets this healer and goes through a sort of interaction with her where she sort of is helping her and then setting her up to just see how intense this girl could be. What is her real mettle, right? What can she do? So it's this kind of meeting and then testing of this young healer. I was curious your thoughts on this one, Greg, how you felt about the assassin and the healer.
Again, and I don't even want an answer to this about later on in the story. Like, for me, it just felt like, why are we spending time with it? This felt so out of place right there. And whether she comes back up later or not, like, it just...
Oh, she's definitely coming. That character is obviously coming back.
It just felt so like... This book feels like it was a lot of, like, here's a character I just want to introduce, so that way then you can go, oh wait, maybe, like, it just, there wasn't the payoff again wasn't there for me. It was lacking, and I'm sure I'm going to appreciate this book more as I read other books. I like, it still probably is going to rank low on my list, but I at least have appreciation for what was set up. But right now there was just like, I struggled through this book, and I think that was a part where I started to slog down for me, because I'm just like, it wasn't interesting character at the time. It wasn't an interesting relationship or dynamic. And like, I wanted to get to the other parts. And so, like, for me, it just was like, why, like, why are we here? I think that was my response for a lot of, like, throughout this book was, why are we here? So again, I'll appreciate, I'm sure, more of it when I get to why we were there.
Yeah.
But for, like, just a book, and that's where it's like, it's hard on these books sometimes to, like, separate it outside of the series, right? Because it's not a standalone book that you would read. But I would also say, like, that's why I'm so heavy against, like, I don't, if you tell me that, like, you're adamant that you should read it first, I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I would not want, unless I was forced to do a show like this, I don't think I'd want to keep read the rest of the series.
Yeah, I don't think if this is the only thing, if this is all you know and this is what you're basing it on before you buy the next book, I don't think you're buying the next book.
That's my thought. So, like, I just, like, it just feels, that's where it feels so disjointed. There's a lot of other books that are, like, throughout a series that I know I like more because of what I've gotten before and what I get later, but they don't feel like to me, and that's how this feels right now.
Well, and for me, these first two feel very much like I could get this information in like a half a chapter tucked into the novel when that character, the head of the pirates that she screwed over comes back.
This is like, it could have been an email book.
You could. So I don't know if that will work as well for the third, fourth, and fifth parts of this 5-part series. But for me, these first two feel very much like you could get that information in a paragraph or two or tucked in between chapters later on. Like, I can't think of any little detail in this that's going to be like, oh my gosh, when that healer shows up, you can just explain how they met. Like, it doesn't seem that complicated to me. But maybe I'm wrong. Paul, am I way off here?
No, I think that Irene is going to...
How do you say her name?
Irene?
Doesn't it start with a W?
Starts with a Y.
How did you pronounce it, Greg? Come on. How did you pronounce it in your head?
You said Ren, Irene, didn't you?
I need to look at the pronunciation. It's been so long. How is it spelled?
Y-R-E-N-E. Like Irene.
Oh, Wyron. It's Wyron.
No.
Wyron.
It's Wyron. That is
why. Where are you getting the W sound?
What?
Irene.
Where are you getting the W sound?
I don't know, but it's Y. I'm looking at the letter Y. The letter Y. The English language is messed up.
Oh, my
so, like,
goodness.
I see the Y and I see Ren. It's Wyron.
Again, normal name, they're dead pretty fast, right? 5-6 pages pretty soon. Weird name, they're gonna last a little while.
This one's like on the fence.
So you're saying
on the fence.
You're saying is, oh, I like this character. Instead of giving her an I in her first name, let's give her a Y. So that
she stays alive longer.
Yep. Yeah, stays alive longer. Becomes more important.
This is dumb. This is some New Mutants trash right here. That's what that is.
I agree wholeheartedly. When I read this the first time and then didn't find Irene in the next book or the next book or the next book, and I was like, why did I spend the time reading that section of this book? And then I read it, and then by the end, the payoff happens, right? And like you said, you know that they're going to come back. Why would we put this person in any part of the story? I don't know if, and I don't know, JP would be able to answer this maybe a little bit more. I don't know if you can fit Irene's introduction into the beginning of where she comes back. I don't know. I don't think you
effectively.
Can. Yeah, I don't think it's as effective.
You could basically just This doesn't make sense, but you could introduce her just as a character, and then at a later point give that background, like after she's been in it. But like, yeah, I think this one, I would actually argue, even though it's the shortest, seems like the least inconsequential. I feel like this one of the 1, 2, and 3. This is the one that's more important than the 2 and 3 to me, like in terms of that it lays out exactly what happened, like that you get the full of what happened. Because for me, like, and I totally get it. When I read through it the first time, I was like, well, that was kind of odd. But to me, it's really about forgetting Irene and whatever she becomes. Like, this is about that Celaena helps somebody without even like not realizing how much she's actually helped this person. Mm-hmm. Like, she does something nice for this person, and as we will see, completely changes her life by doing this one nice thing. And so she has these effects on people, and I think this is where she's laying the groundwork for, is that Celaena, without even really trying, has had effects on people in a positive manner, despite everything that she already is, and claims that she doesn't want to be what she was, and like all this that she's gone through, that she has still put positivity in the world beyond herself.
And we get to see her be that master assassin. Yeah, a little bit here, right?
I was going to say, I felt like this story exists purely to say, see, she does kill people.
Sometimes. Yeah, it's not like super in depth. Like, there are other parts coming up that show off that, but this shows that she's got the skills, right? Like, that the skills weren't on display as much in the first little bit, and now this
where she pulled her punches against the pirates, she does not here.
Yeah, she does not.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on the healer story? We ready to move on to the desert? Okay. The assassin of the desert. Now we see her arriving or getting to her destination, where she's going to be trained by the mute master, which gives me full G.I. Joe vibes here. The silent master isn't that the name of the G.I. Joe train? The guy who teaches Storm Shadow and sorry, Greg, are you a G.I. Joe fan, Greg? I thought you were a G.I. Joe fan.
Right. It was past my time. It was past my time, but I have been enjoying the new run. Like, that's the one of the Energon stuff that I've stuck with. So
sure.
No, I was all about
Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow have I think the master who teaches them is called like the Silent Master. I think that's legitimately the guy's name. So I was getting like Kill Bill, G.I. Joe vibes from like, oh, the Mute Master. Oh, okay. So it's kind of this unusual. It feels yet again like Arabin sending her off without really telling her what he's hoping to get out of this whole thing, and then she just kind of has to figure it out for herself. And she does make some odd friends while she's there, and there is some sort of stuff going on with stealing horses, and then being trained by the Mute Master finally, and then being betrayed, and then it's sort of like the House of Assassins gets kind of wiped out. And Celaena has to kind of return with just enough honor after saving the Mute Master and getting this horse with a little bit of like success, but also like some pretty dramatic stuff falling out there. I was going to let Paul go first. I don't want to, but he looks like I don't want to.
Oh, I was trying to remember something from this part of the story. There's
was curious
so
your thoughts on this one. Yeah.
I feel like there's so many little details in this one.
Yeah.
Right. Like JP had said, like, which one's probably most important in these first couple?
I was going to pick this one.
I knowing what I know,
Yeah.
It's a toss up between these two, right? 2 and 3, and then maybe like that fifth one, just a little bit.
Okay.
In terms of what's so important about these first couple books, big picture ideas. There's so much happening here, and we don't realize it. So, like the Ansel of Briarcliff is a very interesting character to me, at least. Right, the Mute Master was there and kind of putting Celaena through her paces, but that friendship that she forms, and then, like you said, gets betrayed on, like that character to me is like somebody that we don't realize. Like you said, how does Celaena affect the other people around her? Right, how she affected Irene and made Irene's like just whole life different, just from that one aspect of somebody cared enough to save her. Irene, it's the same thing here. Like Celaena doesn't realize how she affects Ansel because she's so focused on how Ansel betrayed her.
Yeah.
So it'll be super, super interesting to see kind of Ansel coming back also in the long run, because she's coming back. They let her go, so she's got to come back at some point in time. At the end there, that stuff happened. So Mute Master himself, I don't know. I don't know why he was a Mute Master. It was just to put the idea through that Celaena needs to be able to take in all of the information, I guess. I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, I took it as like, now we're connecting with two sort of other entities, right? The element that Ansel's representing and the training that the Mute Master is representing, those seemed like just the same way the Pirates group or whatever were connecting to groups that, governmentally or, politically, geopolitically, I guess, might have bearing. Just
like the Pirates could have been any scoundrel group, the Mute Master could have been the Blind Master, and it would have done the same thing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, she's got to keep hitting the post right in front of her.
Yeah, something regarding that
stick, so they couldn't have written it.
Ooh, now we're getting Daredevil. Greg, you seem chomping at the bit here. What?
I'm not really. I'm not, but I was more interested in. I don't even know this character's name.
Ansel.
So Ansel and Gretel, and that relationship was, again, this is where I started to get frustrated with the head of the Assassin's Keep, though, and Celaena's relationship with him, because it just felt like she knew stuff was going on, and she still is doing this thing, and I know she's trying to but why do you trust that you're still gonna get whatever, or this note or what? It just seems like there's so much trust that has been lost already that there still is just fine, we're still. And I think the problem, and that goes back to what we talked about earlier, it still is there hasn't been enough of seeing her trusting him to make some of her decision making here make sense in my mind. And that could be there were stuff I read this a year ago that they probably did, and it made sense a little bit more then, but trying to remember it now. Okay. Also, if you are in a Sarah J Maas book, don't drink wine. Why? Don't drink wine. That's code. You talk about if you have a simple name in her book, you're
done in a couple pages.
You drink wine in one of these books, you're gonna be poisoned. You're gonna be it makes no sense. So it's just, there's these little things that that frustrated me still.
Sure.
And I think it showed throughout this book.
That assassin that doesn't use poison really doesn't know to avoid poison also.
Right.
Yeah. All right, JP, how about you? I mean, I feel for me, this one at least kicks up at the end with some fun twists and turns, and she's racing back, and there's a little action at least to make the ending have a bit of a climax, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it gives you for me, I feel like this one was just more of like the first, particularly if you just read the first 2 books. The world is very small that Sarah has introduced. It's basically the one city Celaena's trying to survive in. You know, there's stuff going on in the greater world. And it's, for me, this is really just about introducing that, she was part of it. She trained with Arabin. She was an assassin, but there was a wider, she got more info than what she got, and she made more connections in the wider world than what we've realized. I think, like Paul talked about that. She makes another connection with the Ansel in a way that, like, we'll see how that pays off later. But she's affecting the people around her. I think this one was more, certainly of the first 3 for sure. This is the one that's got the most action, the most fun, the most like adventure going on here. That, like, to kind of up the pace of the story, because it's been pretty slow to this point. Yeah. So.
Okay. This one, obviously, she gets this very valuable horse and comes back, and it seems like her intent is now to, like, buy her freedom and get out from under Arabin at this point. So if we're ready, we can dive into the assassin in the underworld. The 4th story has her arriving back and basically saying, like, look, I'm, not telling him immediately, but definitely telling the reader, I've got this intention. I'm going to do this. Arabin, on the other hand, is very much the abusive husband who's like, no, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, whip the crap out of your boyfriend and trash you and send you away. Girl, I love you. Look, I got clothes and jewels for you, girl. It's a little bit weird. I don't know that I like. What's that?
So you did that too well.
I'm really comfortable with it. No, baby, no. And then, of course, he's like, no, please stay with me and go kill some. I got somebody to kill. You can kill this person for me. Like, maybe you get back to killing people again. That's how
she's like, I don't kill people.
And then she's like, yeah, maybe I can kill someone for you. And there's the plot line of, like, the spouse, the husband and the wife, waiting to kill. It's like, okay, I get this thing. And then Sam's like, I can, maybe I'll help you out with this. They do have a hint in the masquerade that we're meeting some characters that we will catch up with a little bit later. That was fairly clear, at least to me, for, first time reading that the Havillard family was showing up there. And Kale, we got a little Kale, Chode sighting. And then basically Celaena buys her freedom, gets into some drama, and decides to sell her horse to free Sam. And then, of course, does commit the crime, does kill the ex-husband character, only to find out maybe that was not the best move. Maybe I got
manipulated again.
Yeah, JP, I'll let you go first on this one. This one definitely seems to have the big element of this seems to be the moment when Arabin's like, damn, I got to kill my girlfriend now.
Well, yeah, you finally get to see, like, it's been hinted at through depending on how many books you've read, that she had this relationship with Arabin, that he was her master or whatever, or, the man who saved her. But we finally get to see that, like, the full experience of how, like, manipulative and, like, that she was a little girl and he was a grown man when they, like, first, and, like, he hasn't maybe. It's pretty clear he has not, like, assaulted her to this point, but, like, that he wants to, like, that he is obsessed with her in a way that, like, is completely not healthy. And I think she finally is starting to, and I get your discussion at the beginning of the flaws of this book is that we don't see her fully, like, we never see her fully under his spell. But we see here finally her truly start to see him for what he is. I mean, like, she's finally like, okay, like, I got to get away from this guy. I got to get Sam away from this guy. Like, we need to get out of here. But even in doing that, she still falls for his BS. Like, when it comes to the job that he has for her to do, like, she still falls for it and realizes at the end that, like, she literally cannot trust a word that he's ever said to her. And so and yet it's a lesson that she's struggling through here. I think the big thing for me is that it's her struggle of like this guy is clearly trying to manipulate me and control me, but he's also the person that saved my life. And so I have a debt to him. And she has a hard time separating those two things and realizing just because he saved her doesn't mean that she really owes him anymore. And so for me, that's what's going on here. Is it's finally like she's truly starting to see Arabin as who he actually is.
Yeah. I mean, it's a less platonic, was it Yondu storyline? It was like, you always tell me you're gonna eat me. Like why are you telling me you're gonna eat? Normal people don't eat other people. Like, just because you saved me when I was a kid, you've always been threatening to eat me. It feels a little bit like a Star-Lord thing that they got going there. Paul, what about you on the Arabin? Because he appears in thought a lot in the early books, but not in physical form.
I think this is where he actually comes in, right? This is our first experience with Arabin. So
it's funny because I legitimately still feel like he's in those early books, even though we never actually see him.
You don't,
just because she's always kind of reflecting on that time in her life. I don't know. So to see him here, it felt like, we already kind of heard this. We already kind of knew this.
Yeah, we know
he's a
liar.
He's a liar. He's manipulative. He's messing with her. All that stuff.
No, I think that this one probably is the one that falls the most flat for me, even though it's important, right? Getting the actual character, getting him in the story. It's just, like you said, we've gotten all this info already. We already know that he's in charge of the Assassin's Guild for a reason, kind of deal. Like, we can kind of connect those dots. But for Celaena trying to be free and trying to get out, it's like that underlies everything. Like, she does have, like, she recognizes those little morals that she was showing in the first couple little stories. Like, she's starting to show more of those are coming through. And like you said, we get some good character, kind of cameo appearances in this, and I think that the Arabin, like, finally getting that physical presence within the story, and not just her thinking about him, I just don't think it pays off as well as it could have.
Yeah. Sure.
So, before you and Greg go, I just want to, I also want to ask, we get introduced to another character here, and just as you go through this, what your first thoughts of Lysandra are, because we get introduced to Lysandra in this story.
This is the courtesan in training.
The courtesan,
gal, right?
Yeah. I'm just very curious to see what your thoughts about her at this point, because this is another character that's obviously going to circle back around.
Well, it's Greg's turn if Greg wants to do his thoughts on all of it, and Lysandra, or I can go first if you want.
Yeah, no, I'll go. You all kept talking about that there were 5 books in the stories in this, and I forgot this was a story in there.
Yes.
Well,
wait.
The last one are really one.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was all one story at the end, and so I don't remember. The answer is JB's question. I don't remember that character at all.
Okay.
Again, I think there is probably a disservice of reading this book in May, and I've probably read 40 novels with a buku amounts of other characters in between this. So there is some of that probably that it might hold differently if I read it straight through, like I did with Dungeon Crawler Carl or some of these other series where I have. But there's a lot of time. Now I don't think there will be moving forward when I start Queen of Shadows and things like that, but this just, I think for me, this is the disconnect with the book. I can't, like John was joking earlier, this she comes off as it's in a very abusive relationship, and it's not, I can't get out of this relationship. There's still whether it's there's still good in him, this person, he saved me, there's survivor guilt, whatever. And I think just as in my just own life, I can't resonate with that type of character. And so maybe this would hit harder with other people who can kind of go oh, this inspires, this is gives me the strong, type to break away from these changes. So I think that's, I struggle with that a little bit more. So those moments don't pay off as much for me, I think, too, when I'm reading this. Because I like it just is not something that I've had in my life or has been around a lot of people that have had to deal with that. So like the hit's not there as much. And it comes off sometimes to my own fault, like frustrating as a reader of like, why do you keep like, like, and maybe it's because I know stuff as a reader too. Like, so I know more detail. Like we already know he's bad. Like, so like, and so like that plays into it and it messes with my mind a little bit too, a little bit of when I'm reading this, but this I thought was all part of the whole, like she got away and the Sam story all in one. And I forgot that was a separate story.
No, it feels so much like it's the same story.
Well, because it's all in the same town, right? Like, and it just then like picks up.
Basically, the first one just is her return through her buying their freedom, and then the second half of it is whatever.
So it's like story 4, part 1, and then 5 is part 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, like I was definitely confusing her with the like woman always following Dorian around, who is like the spoiled lady in the castle. So I was like, oh, is this the same?
Okay.
Yeah, like
Catelyn.
they seemed like I got the same obnoxiousness from both of them, that I was just kind of like, oh, these are the popular girls, and I just don't, I don't like dealing with these ladies.
From Lysandra, you got that from Lysandra.
I did from that, and from that was, and it may have just been cross pollination in my mind because I was trying to like connect dots with some of these characters as like, who is this person? How are they in this part of the story?
I think in Assassin's Blade, she definitely comes off that way.
And like, so it gave me the same like she's the popular girl at school vibe.
In this book, Lysandra, I can see where you would draw those connections
for sure.
So for me, it was just another one of the mean girls that Celaena has to deal with. It's just
in the background,
it just gives her a justified target for her outrage about X, Y, or Z, right? So that's all I really took from her in this.
And I don't think that you should have taken more at this stage from her. I was just curious of what your first impression was.
Yeah. I legitimately had to double check to remember who she was. Just now.
See,
is this person like I don't know that it left an impact.
No, I think that's a completely that's a completely reasonable thing to be in this stage.
Okay.
1,000%. And obviously us asking about this character is gonna kind of like be spoilery, I guess.
Yeah, I mean clearly you're letting us know that you're a fan.
Listen. By the end, Lysandra is my favorite character by far, like 1,000%, and I guess that's just
hard time arguing.
Yeah, like I can't not like how her journey turns out in the rest of the books, and she does, and she shows up in the rest of the book. So
you guys are just trying to get me to read more of Assassin's Blade before I read this, so I can get reconnected to this character.
Actually, you don't have to. Like,
so I can be like
Lysandra, you don't have to. Like Lysandra is introduced here as a very one note.
Okay. You're just making me like by asking like, oh, what do you think now? I'm like, do I got to read it?
No, I was curious because I had the same response to like, okay, this is a background, unimportant character, and then when you read further on, it's like, oh wait, she's back. Wait, I remember. I had to go back and like, who was she when she's introduced again? And it's like, who is this person? And then from where it builds from there is a pretty spectacular character arc, in my opinion.
That's good to know, at least. As to Greg's point, I totally agree that parts 4 and 5 are one. Like it's really challenging to separate them.
Honestly, when you were like, when I look back and it's like 5 parts, and I was like, what's the story?
I did the same.
Remember I put this all together as one thing in my brain too. So
the only thing that separates it is the fact that there are clearly 2 distinct assassination missions here that are not the same, right? In the first one, we had the like ex-husband thing. In this one, basically, she's going to. I can jump to the next one. I guess.
You might as well.
Together. In the next one, basically, when she says, "Look, we're done. Sam and I are out. We want to leave." He's like, okay, well, if you want to get out, it's going to cost you this much money. And the only way to do it is to do this crazy mission. You got to kill these 2 guys that work for the same criminal organization, the head and the right-hand man. You get in there, you kill these guys, you're good to go, sister. And she's initially like, this is a stupid idea, because she's right. It is a stupid idea. And then Sam, the idiot, is like, no, let's totally sign up and do this. But then later has doubts, and he's like, we could just run off together. And then that's when she is like, no, let's kill this guy. And it's like, come on, can you just get on the same page that you should just fucking leave? Like, just fucking leave. You both would do just fine. There's no assassin he's going to send to get you that's going to get you. Just, you're walking into his traps every freaking time. It's exhausting. Sorry, Black Order Club. What's going on? How you doing? So my biggest frustration is like the traps are so obvious all the way through this that I'm like, why are you falling into them? Like, why are you intentionally getting into them? I still, although I don't think there's any real evidence to prove it, still feel like there's going to be some twist eventually down the line of what happened to Sam and Sam's death. Like, this still feels like we're missing like half the information here. But she does see a body. I guess it'll be tricky later to be like, nope, still alive. There's a body, and she does get to look at it. I don't know how accurate.
The faces on JP and Paul right now are priceless. Before you said the fake body, but earlier, right before that, I was just like,
I mean, okay. I got the sense after reading book 1 that he was still alive somewhere, that we would eventually bump into him again and have to deal with that stupid plot line. But
spoiler warning, Sam's dead.
Good. Like, that's the best news you could tell me right now. Like, if they brought him back, I would be like, oh crap.
No, he's
Sam,
like dead.
Sam, the finale here, that is his body.
Okay, well, yeah. Because basically, he goes off to do the mission without her. She rushes in and basically like kills the guys. Like she pulls off the job. She takes down, what's his name, Jane or whatever.
Doesn't she only kill one of them?
She kills one of them
because
the other guy.
She kills the head guy because the second guy in command was in league with
Arabin,
with the pimp daddy,
in league with Arabin,
because he wanted to get the first guy out of the way so he could run the criminal.
I don't remember a pimp hat, but okay.
Well, I mean, basically that's what I'm saying, like the Assassin's Keep guy is like the pimp daddy.
Yep.
Gotcha. In cahoots with the second in command. So
he's pulling the strings.
Urban and the number 2 in the criminal organization plot together to kill the number 1 and get her captured. Yes.
Yep.
Correct. And then that ultimately is where this dovetails into Throne. He gets taken away, sent to the slave mine prison, and that's the wrap up here.
And doesn't
JP, I feel like I've made JP go last a bunch. I was going to let him go first here.
I was just going to real quick before JP goes. I'm not going to talk about does she get locked in her room like Tamlin in 4 or 5? Like where they're like those are very much like oh, you're going to stay in the keep. I'm going to lock you in. Like, man, Sarah loves to kind of walk those lines of the same.
I think that's in this one. This is the last one.
JP,
if I remember correctly.
And why you love Tamlin.
I heard rumors.
As much as I love Chode. So.
I heard rumors that Tamlin's got a restoring arc in the last book.
Actually, like Chode probably gets even though I don't think his redemption arc is that great. Well, anyway.
Whoa! Did JP just say he gets he's redeemed? I heard
redemption.
He passes it off, kind of. He's like, yeah.
Anyway, he's Chode. Chode is Chode the whole way through.
Okay.
So for this one, yes, it's so obvious that they're getting set up, and I think this is where, for me, like you guys asked the question at the beginning of, like, did reading later make the book better? And it makes the book more important because of the people and some of the things that you meet, but it doesn't make it better. The flaws of the book are still the flaw.
The execution is still there.
The execution is still why it ranks where it ranks for me.
Right.
And so, it's an obvious setup. And John says, like, she sees it, but they're desperate for money to try so they can run away. And Sam convinces her to go, and then when he has second thoughts, she's like, "No, we're going to do this," and then they don't do it together, and it's so like silly.
Yeah.
The only thing for me that it does, like how it works, the part of it that does work for me is the relationship of her and Sam, and that even though for us reading it when we read it, we know what happens to Sam going in. We know he doesn't make it out. Like, for me, it's still, that payoff still works in terms of her emotional response to Sam's fate.
Yeah.
Like, that still works for me in terms of how she doesn't think in that moment. Like, when she sees him, like, she loses her ability. She doesn't process who's really responsible here, and she just goes off half-cocked. And like that part of it works for me.
Okay.
And then obviously we get to see truly like just how bad a person Arabin is. And he even talks about, I don't like it when people take my stuff, and he refers to her as his stuff at the end, basically. Yeah. And so from those standpoints, it works. But yeah, the flaw of like, dude, both of them should have seen this coming. and that is the frustration of this.
Well, and I think it makes Celaena seem incredibly immature, ignorant, whatever you want to call her. Which goes back to your
point, John, of she's at this point 17, 18, maybe barely. So
no, I feel like she was 18 in the salt mine, so she's got to be younger, right?
Yeah,
she's younger here at this point.
Yeah, she's younger here.
Yeah,
for me, it feels like it's hard to make her seem like this amazing, intelligent assassin and fall for something so painfully obvious.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to feel like there was an element in these 4 or 5 books that made us feel like we could understand why she would buy this bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think that's the frustration for me with this too, is like the payoff for Sam doesn't hit because like we don't spend enough time developing that relationship in my mind of, maybe I'm looking at it like they're still teeny boppers here anyways. And how often do you like go like, oh, you're young, like you're like, but like they hate each other in the first book, it seems, or like it's the haters, the lovers kind of story, like that all of these fantasy books that we're reading have. But it's a slower build, I feel like, for a lot of those.
Yeah.
Where this one, it's choppy, and like Sam's then not even in the third one, and then isn't the fourth one when she comes back. Like there's another girl that has a history with Sam.
That's
and like
Lysandra. That's Lysandra. Yeah. That's
okay.
Lysandra.
Yeah. And okay, so I do remember her, but I just forgot what her character. Like so, like it just feels like so that relationship and that death feels so forced for me because there's no payoff yet. And again, I'm sure down the road I'll like it, but like, knowing that it happened, and then knowing too, like that there's not like I don't get invested in that relationship.
Right. Well, so I would say to that point though, ultimately Sam's not important. Like
he's
Sam
important
was
to
just
Celaena,
the thing
but
that
that's it.
splintered her from Arabin.
Yep.
Like she was his first love. Like she was the first person she loved, but ultimately the importance of Sam is Sam's death is what caused her to be in the mines. Like that's really all that
he's a plot point to
he's a plot point that set up where we actually started the real story in Throne of Glass.
Which which is fine. I just
it's a plot point of the ultimate betrayal of Arabin. That she finally like this is the ultimate betrayal. Like when she finally like understands, like even throughout the fourth part here and into the fifth part, like she knows he's not trustworthy, but like they're still listening to him. Like they're still, she's like, well, he saved me, and yeah, he's kind of creepy, but it's fine. We're gonna be able to get away. And she's not accepted what he really is until Sam is dead. And even this, she doesn't accept it until she realizes that she fell into the trap.
And she needs to do something.
Yeah. But she really doesn't realize it until she's on her way to the mines.
Right.
Just that naive aspect of her relationship with both, right? Relationship with Arabin, that naive aspect of not realizing and actually like putting together what he actually was. And the same thing with Sam, like that first young, naive love and putting everything into it and not thinking through the process. And I think that shapes, like, these are intended to give Celaena some character points, right? Like the first one, anti-slavery, and just like setting some of those morals, and the same thing with the second one, trying to help someone that's in need, and then the third one trying to like be able to forgive someone who's betrayed you, and then now with these fourth and fifth ones of trying to find hope and then getting it taken away, right? It's all of these plot points, these character development plot points that the author is trying to just force feed us, because it's like she didn't get it in the first 2 books, so it's like, okay, let's get it in these little novels to make sure everybody realizes like this is a fleshed out character, and you get each of those little aspects, and it makes sense. But like you said, it's the little bits and bobs of like
saying it's a little clunky is nice.
Yeah, right.
Well, like ultimately, it's like a Band-Aid to fix some bleeding in the story. And so it feels obvious that it's the writer, not the character.
This is just me from like book talk stuff that I've seen. So like, correct me if I'm wrong, those of you that have done it, but I keep seeing that this came out and was written and came out on Kindle before the books were published. Is JP, you're shaking your head. I'm just saying, I'm just saying like that
website open.
Yeah, no, I know the books. I'm saying people are saying, I've seen it time and time again when they justify this as book 1, that this was actually written by her before those books. It just wasn't published. And that's where I'm wondering how much.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe to your point, she just couldn't find a way to fit it into those first 2 books. And that's why that it came out where it came out and when it was published. Because I'm sure that the story that she wants to tell, like this was her first story that she wanted to tell, was Celaena's story.
15, 16 when she
started? She was in high school. Like I totally get, like, I'm not trying to bash the writing. Like I don't mind. It just feels clunky knowing what we know. That's all.
Right.
So it actually says these were, according to Google, it says these were published as ebooks in March of 2014 before the published book in August of Throne of Glass.
Well, yeah, but I thought Throne of Glass, you said a while ago, came out in 2012.
Yes. She
published his ebooks before she published it as a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she published these online right before
but I think Throne of Glass was out.
Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight were both out before those online things came out.
I think, yeah.
And I had heard they'd been published like independently, like in and then this was just combined.
They were published. From what I've been reading, they were published online at some point.
One little
right before
or
right around when Throne of Glass came out.
Yeah,
and then it didn't get put in book form until afterwards in the third.
Which is fine. Like again, I think that knowing what I know, I fully appreciate these stories. Like I'm glad that we get them, because the different things that build up throughout time and as you're reading through this is important info. But it just,
I think in terms of a world building book, it is very useful and like important to where it goes. But as someone who's looking back from the end, I will say Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Assassin's Blade, for me, are her finding her voice as a writer. And it's not till you get to Heir that you really, from Heir of Empire or Heir of Fire through the end of the story, to me is a different level of writer than wrote these other 3 books.
I'm now just realizing I'm going to have to read about that stupid witch again. Shoot.
So
I'm not stupid.
Like I'm going to say something right now that by the time we get to the end of this, Manon is going to be one of Greg's favorite characters, and he's going to so hate that he has to admit that at some point.
But I hope you all know from doing enough shows with me, if that is true, I will begrudgingly admit it if that is true. Because I've changed, I've learned, so I can.
Yeah, she does kind of jump. I mean, for me, there's clearly, because there's things that happen in the first 2 books, like in the first 2 and this one, that are clearly like there's threads that she builds here that carry to the end, and there's some threads that she's like, oh, nah,
she leaves. Yeah, she leaves for sure.
And so there's, but yeah, that's just my thought process on this. But yeah, it ranks for me. The 3 worst books of the series are Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and this one.
which
Those are
bodes
pretty-
well because I loved 1 and 2 way more than this one.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, I guess that kind of wraps up the whole volume as a set. We've kind of given our overall thoughts and kind of where we would rank it. Next is, yes, Queen of Shadows, back to the main chronology and apparently some Manon goodness. Any
Manananon gets she gets a little
Manananon.
light. Yeah, a little light here in this fifth one.
so
man,
that's
I'm
the
excited
next
to
one.
bring back that bit.
That's the next one for Greg and I to read. But of course, the crew will be back for more Dungeon Crawler Carl. We've read the whole series, so we'll have to eventually continue 2 through 7 and have some fun chats about that. The links for everybody are all down below. You can find YouTube channels and all that good stuff. Greg, anything you want to highlight? I know that we had a great time traveling to Mars with you recently. Anything coming up? I know the book club's on its far sector goodness.
So
These days.
we're trying to do a monthly book club on the channel. So if you're interested, hop on the Discord. We don't do a lot of talking about the book in the Discord. We do kind of more discussion of other stuff, what we want to read. And then the goal is that we'll do a Zoom call, kind of a chat that we'll then edit and put up, hopefully for people to be a part of. And things like that, just because it's really hard to do book discussions when you don't know where people are at and stuff,
right?
And via texting form, basically. But so there's that. I'm getting back into the swing of things with my interviews. I'm working on like 10 different interviews right now with emails and stuff with people. So like I've been kind of hit or miss of the last couple months of how often I was doing that. So it's getting back into the regular stuff. And just doing a lot of reading of books right now. So once I finish The Running Man, I will probably pick up Queen of Shadows now that we're in, and hopefully get that done before Matt Dinneman's new book comes out in February. So,
oh crap! Wait, the next Dungeon Crawler.
No, it's separate. It's Operation Bounce House or something.
Bounce House is
it's a non-Dungeon Crawler, Carl.
It's non-dungeon, but I'm very curious. I'm very curious to like.
I am too.
What is because this seems like there's like so I'm curious to see how he
he's actually doing a little like signing and talk in Kansas City at a bookstore, and I'm going to go up for Bounce House and
fun.
Nice.
Listen to him talk about it. So we get a signed copy of Bounce House, and then we're going to hear him for like an hour.
My goal is to finish Queen of Shadows in February, but I'm not going to get through it like at the beginning of. It's going to be a little bit before I get to it.
Well, we can do book 2 of Dungeon Crawler. So
we got we could definitely.
I'm finishing up the 4th audio book.
Like we've all read it.
We could. We could just follow the next stream we're doing right after. Right. Paul, I know you're on D&D with me tomorrow night with this guy. Anything else you want people to know about? Anything you're up to? Anything? What you reading? Anything fun?
I'm reading a book called The Black Tongue Thief. It's been a little difficult for me to get through because of some of the verbiage. Some of the language is very much close to Old Gaelic. So it's thrown me off. I got to take my time reading through what do they actually mean. But once I get through with that, I'm going to read the second trilogy of Red Rising. I haven't gotten to the last 3 of Red Rising. So I'm going to get through those. I might...
Wait, there's another trilogy after the first 3?
Yeah, there's
6. It'll be 4 eventually. The 4th book comes out.
Yeah, I want to make sure that those... the second 3 of the 6 from Red Rising are done before Red God comes out. Because I'm super excited. That book series really, after that first one, I was like, oh yeah, this is great. So I read all of those first 3 pretty efficiently, and then I took a little break so that I could go back and forth between different things. But I'm gonna try to get through Black Tongue Thief this next week or so. It's just been so tough, just back and forth with getting back to school and back into the swing of things. So, but then I'll get to Red Rising, and then hopefully I'll have my TBR pile diminished by the time Parade of Horribles comes out. But I might always go back and read Queen of Shadows too, because it's a good. I really like Queen of Shadows too. Like I said, I think Air of Fire is probably one of my top 2 for this Throne of Glass, but Queen of Shadows is really good.
Yeah, my favorite.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, the one after Queen of Shadows is when we start getting into the dual read, right?
Now, JP didn't do the
I did.
Yeah,
the
I'm
dual
just
read.
saying, like, if people
you?
want to do it,
Yeah.
that's when we would need
Okay.
to discuss it, right?
Yeah,
I'm not
after
doing
Queen
it.
of Shadows, not.
I'm not
after
doing
Queen
it.
of Shadows.
I'm not
So
doing
Maybe
it.
we should do it two different ways, Greg and I.
It's up to you
I
guys.
did, just for the record, I read Queen of Shadows, then I did the dual read for Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. I don't
So
know
you
if I
did
had
do the
made it
dual
through
read.
Tower of Dawn with that much kale if I would have
Yeah.
not.
That's the biggest thing, Greg, is that if you don't do the dual read, depending on how you feel about Kale after this fifth book,
Get that
is
kale
you-
inoculation.
you have a full book of Kale.
I say it now. I'm okay with that, but I also like it. I'm guessing it came out before the other. So if you were reading it when they came out, like you would have to do it, right?
Empire Storms and then Tower of Dawn. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
So
you would
again-
have that break, and it was like people complained for months that there was
That's
a big
that's
cliffhanger.
fine,
The
but
purpose of the
there is a reason. There is a part of me that is like, if the creator has said like, this is how I'm putting something out, I do feel like there's a, and maybe I will disagree, but there's a little bit of part of me of like, I want to at least read it how they wanted to tell the story.
Right.
So,
No,
I
I
what I will
fully
say about
appreciate that.
the Empire of Storm and Tower of Dawn is they go on at the same time.
right.
So they're two different groups you're following at the same time. So the events of the books are happening at the same time. And a lot of the reason a lot of people recommend doing the dual read is not because Kale is the main subject of the one book. It's because Empire of Storms ends on a huge cliffhanger that you would then have to read a whole other book before you get any resolution to. So that is part of the reason they do that. So
It's the classic episode of a TV show that the season 2 ends on a cliffhanger, and then you go like 6 episodes in season 3 before they address what happened in the season 2 episode. Okay,
Or like a
I've watched
flashback,
Lost, so I'm okay with that. I know what's up.
That's it exactly.
All right, then, JP, anything coming up for you? Anything got going on the next week here? I know we're both reading New Teen Titans to prepare for that.
yeah, we got this week earlier. Daymers and I did a discussion of Old Guard. We talked Old Guard earlier this week. So we did that. We broke that down. As soon as we get done here, I'm going to do my whatever report, and then later this week unless people have changed, we got a Gotham City Chronicles. So we're talking volumes 3 and 4 of the current Poison Ivy run. Later this coming week, and then in early February we're doing Titans. I forget what the date you said.
Yeah, I don't even know if we picked a date. I can't remember.
You sent me a date. I'm pretty sure.
All right,
but
cool.
yeah,
Then there's a date.
it's in February. I know
Cool.
that. So
Tomorrow night I'm live for Dungeons and Dragons with these guys. Playing these guys. And then next week I'm off for Omni X-Men, but I will probably crash the Paul and the 619 Amazing Friends hangout. And then yes, Poison Ivy is coming up with JP as well. So lots of goodies in the future. Not likely gore, but keep your fingers crossed. I won't promise.
I mean, the missus and I watched the documentary on that last year. It was
Sketch.
It was sketchy. Like it's
cringy.
Yeah. It's not something I probably will revisit. So I can say no, Gore. No, it's not happening.
I know that Greg and I would love to do a Rob Reiner breakdown at some point. Get into some good Rob Reiner history.
I have watched so many Rob Reiner movies, and it has been so delightful.
Good.
So
yeah, I'd love to make time for that at some point. So that's definitely in the works.
It'll happen at some point. It could be. Listen, it can be 6 months. It could be a month. It could be a year. It doesn't matter. As long as
always a good time for Reiner.
We talk about Rob Reiner. It'll be great.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, folks, for hanging out with us tonight and hitting the like button on the way out. Let us know if you're getting any of the Sarah J Maas love. We should be back probably for Dungeon Crawler Carl 2 next before we get into anything else, but that'll probably be next on the Beards and Bourbons hangout. So thanks everybody for coming, and we'll catch you
guys
later.
in 10 months.
Yeah.